Hello and welcome back to the Human Manual. So today is Gita Jayanti. So today was the day on which Krishna spoke to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the famous Bhagavad Gita. So that's why today is celebrated as the day of Gita Jayanti. So not just that day, but even today, Bhagavad Gita continues to be one of the world's most famous and inspiring books, covering topics such as immortality of the self, realizing the absolute truth, knowledge about the absolute truth, then what is the relationship between us and God, which is one of the most beautiful part of the Bhagavad Gita, and how Bhagavad Gita inspires us to live in, or what is the purpose of life, how does Bhagavad Gita inspires us to face the challenging situations, face the uncertainties in our life. So today is one of the most auspicious days when you can start reading Bhagavad Gita and seek the beautiful knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, which was spoken by Krishna to Arjuna. So to gain more knowledge, you can also subscribe to my channel, where we will read the beautiful scriptures of this Bhagavad Gita, where we will discuss what Krishna spoke with Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And therefore, if you have not subscribed to my channel, then please subscribe to it. Press the like button if you are liking my videos, and also press the notification bell if you want to get all the notifications. So today we will continue with text 7 of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We had till now seen what Arjuna makes the argument and claims for not fighting this war. And therefore, before we start, yes, we shall pray. Om Agyantimirandhasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksasurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So on this auspicious day of Gita Jayanti, we are going to start the 7th text of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna is going to take shelter of Krishna and inquire him how he should get out of this situation, how this condition which he has got himself in, how the challenges which he is facing, how can he get out of it, which is the condition with so many of us. So this is one of the beautiful texts of the Bhagavad Gita, and before wasting any time, let us start. Text 7, chapter 2. Karpanya dosopahata swabhava prichhami tvam dharma samudha cheta yachrayasyan nishchitam bruhitan me syasyaste ham sadhimam tvam prapanam. So the English translation of this Sanskrit text is: now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. Karpanya doso pahata. Karpanya doso uphata. Karpanya means of miserliness. Dos means of by the weakness. And uphata means being afflicted. So Arjuna has become afflicted by the miserliness, the weakness of the miserliness. Now, and he's saying, now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. Karpanya means of miserliness. Prichhami tvam dharma samudha cheta. He is confused about his duty, and therefore he has lost all composure because of miserliness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So in this condition, he is asking Krishna, Arjuna is asking Krishna to tell him what is the best for him in this situation, what is the best certain thing for him in this situation. And he has taken shelter of Krishna as his disciple, and a soul surrendered unto him. And therefore he is asking him to please instruct. So now we will read the purport of this text 7. What means, what depth lies about this particular text. So now we will read the purport. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who gives one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. So the author is saying that by nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. The material uncertainty, we every now and then in our life, in everyone's life, we see how the material life is so uncertain, and therefore many a times people get perplexed by the uncertainties in their life. People expect something but happens something else. It might be good, it might be bad. When it is good, people readily accept it, but when it is against their desire or against their expectation, then people become very much perplexed. They become so much depressed and morose, and many times we have seen how people take the shelter of suicide, or they take suicidal attempt, which is not the solution of the problem. How should we solve this problem, or where should we go to solve this problem? The author is guiding us that in every step there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one's proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. So he is guiding us that in these situations of life, it is the duty of a human being to seek a bona fide spiritual master who can guide him in leading his life, and he will make him realize what is the purpose of life and how should we lead our life, how should we grow in this life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire, as I had already discussed in the first sentence of this purport, that the perplexities, the material uncertainties happen without our desire, and therefore it is advised, where the scriptures advise us to take guidance of the spiritual master who can guide us in this situation. They are like a forest. These material uncertainties or perplexities which happen without our desire are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. These are like something like the forest fire which has been blazed without anyone going and setting the fire. So in the forest we see many times that the fire gets blazed in the whole forest start burning, but no one went and lighted up the fire. It happened by own. You don't have any control over it, and certainly it is undesirable. So similarly, these problems in our life, these material uncertainties, are like that forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. So, as we discussed, no one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become eventually perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. So, in order to get over this problem, in order to understand why these material uncertainties affect us, one should seek a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession. Now, what is disciplic succession? In Sanskrit, we say Guru Parampara. Parampara means succession, and disciplic succession means Guru Parampara, means you have to seek the authentic source of knowledge, where the knowledge hadn't been distorted or compromised with. Generally, there are 4 authentic sampradayas in the Sanatana Dharma, which are one is Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, the another one is Sri Sampradaya, the third one is Siva Sampradaya, and the fourth one is Kumar Sampradaya. So generally these 4 are the authentic sampradayas from where you can seek the spiritual guidance in the Sanatana Dharma. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. So whenever a person faces material perplexities or material uncertainties or problems in their life, they should definitely seek a spiritual master. So this is the purport. This is also one of the purports of this text, where Arjuna takes shelter of Krishna and declares him that now I am your disciple, please guide me in this situation. So who is the man in material perplexities? So who is the person in material perplexities? It is he who does not understand the problems of life. Now suppose you have a disease. Suppose you have a disease in your body and it is creating pain to you, and therefore you want to get rid of that pain. So what will you do? Definitely you will go to a doctor, to the doctor who deals with this disease, or to the general physician who will guide you to some specialist doctor. So that is the way. So you have the sense that I should go to a doctor. He can only cure me of this situation. So similarly, when we face material perplexities in our life, when we face material uncertainties and undesirable outcomes in our life, what should we do? We should seek the spiritual master in the authentic disciplic succession. And someone who does not understand only the problem of life, what shall we say him? He is the one who is actually in material perplexities. He can never get out of this situation. You cannot get cured on your own unless you visit the doctor. So similarly, a man will always remain in material perplexities if he does not visit the spiritual master. In the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, the perplexed man is described as follows: Yova etat aksharam garge avidit vasma lokat prati sa karpana. So what does this mean? It is mentioned in the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad that the perplexed man is described as he is a miserly man who does not solve the problem of life as a human, and who thus quits this world like the cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. So it is described in the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad that a man is utterly miser, or he is miserly weak if he does not solve the problem of life as a human being, and also quits this world just like any other animals who does not have that much amount of intelligence to inquire about their life or inquire about the problems of life. Have you seen a cat or dog or any monkey even to inquire about his problems of life? Why I am facing this problem in my life? What shall I do about it? Who I am actually? Have you ever seen? No, right? It is only the human being who has so much of intelligence and has been gifted to realize in that way. So it has been described in this Upanishad that he is a miserly man who does not solve the problem of life as a human being and also quits this world just like any other animals, without surrendering or without understanding the science of self-realization. This human form of life is a most valuable asset for the living entity who can utilize it for solving the problems of life. Therefore, one who does not utilize this opportunity properly is a miser. On the other hand, there is a Brahmana, or he who is intelligent enough to utilize this body to solve all the problems of life. Ya etad aksharam garge vidit vasma lokat prati cha sa brahmana. So on one side there is an utterly miser person who does not solve the problems of his life and quits his life like any other animals and without understanding the science of self-realization. While on the other side there is a Brahmana, the actual Brahmana. A Brahman is someone who understands the problems of life and tries to solve the problems of life. And how will he solve the problem of life? By seeking the proper spiritual guidance under a bona fide spiritual master. So that is the science, understanding the science of self-realization. The Kripanas or miserly persons, the Kripanas it means the miserly persons, or in Hindi we say Kripan Vyakti. Kripan Vyakti means an utterly miser person. Waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country, etc. in the material conception of life. It is not bad to be affectionate towards own family, community, country, etc. It is bad, but it is bad to be affectionate to them or be attached to them in the material conception of life. You associate with them in the way that they are body and they are not souls. Ultimately they are gonna die and you are also gonna die. So what is the actual affection? The actual affection is that you realize that who you actually are and who they actually are. And then you become affectionate in that way, in the spiritual conception of life. Then that is real affection. One is often attached to family life, namely to wife, children and other members on the basis of skin disease. What is the skin disease? Skin disease means to understand, to have the bodily realization of life, to have body realization that I am this body, I am not this soul, or I don't know what his soul is, I am just this body. How can you be just the body? The body is going to die. Or if I say just cut off your hands or remove your eyes, will you get harmed, or will your property be removed? You will remain that same person, right? Even if I remove your heart, you will remain that same person. I mean not the heart, I mean if I transplant the heart, or nowadays we also hear that the scientists are researching about the brain transplant. So if the plain brain is transplanted or the heart is transplanted, does the person changes, or what does that happen? The person remains the same. It means the person is different from the body. The body is like the covering of the soul. So the identity, to identify oneself with this body, is bodily conception of life, and to identify ourselves with our real self or the real ego or the absolute truth, our soul, that is called real conception or soul or spiritual conception of life. So that's why here the author is describing that one is often attached to family life, namely to wife, children and other members on the basis of skin disease. The Kripana thinks that he is able to protect his family members from death. Because why? Because he is attached to the skin, to the body. How he's always thinking of how can I protect this. Definitely one is going to die, either by getting old or by getting diseased or by any accident. You cannot protect someone. Such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals, one who take care of children also. And this is not just in the case of human being, but also in the case of animals, where they try to protect themselves, to protect their family members. The mother of any animal tries to protect their children. So not just in the human being, but it's also in the animal. So what's the difference? Are we also animal? No, we are human being, right? So we should have the proper realization who we actually are. Such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals who take care of children also. Being intelligent, Arjuna could understand that his affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the causes of his perplexities. So now Arjuna was not an insane person or a foolish person. He was who? He was a pure devotee of Lord. He was a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. So definitely he was intelligent. An intelligent person is one like a Brahmana who understands the value of life. And therefore Arjuna knew what was causing perplexities in his life. And that perplexities was happening because of his attachment with the family. Therefore he could understand that his affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the cause of his perplexities. Although he could understand that his duty to fight was awaiting him, still on account of miserly weakness he could not discharge the duties. And because of the perplexities in Arjuna's life, he had become miserly weak, and therefore he could not discharge the Kshatriya duty. He is therefore asking Lord Krishna, the Supreme Spiritual Master, to make a definite solution. And therefore he is asking Lord Krishna, the Supreme Spiritual Master, to make a definite solution. He offers himself to Krishna as a disciple. He wants to stop friendly talks. Talks between the master and the disciple are serious, and now Arjuna wants to talk very seriously before the recognized spiritual master. And who is the spiritual master here? He has surrendered before Krishna and has accepted him as the spiritual master, and therefore he is asking Krishna to please guide him. And now the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna has become that of a guru and his disciple, and it is no more friendly now. And therefore it has, because he has taken shelter of Krishna, therefore he is now seeking guidance from Krishna as being a disciple, and Krishna being a guru. Krishna is therefore the original spiritual master of the science of Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna is the first disciple for understanding the Gita. How Arjuna understands the Bhagavad Gita is stated in the Gita itself. And yet foolish mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to the unborn within Krishna. Yeah, Arjuna understands the Bhagavad Gita. How Arjuna understands the Bhagavad Gita is stated in the Gita itself. But even then, some foolish mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to the unborn within Krishna. They think that, these mundane foolish scholars think that Krishna was born in this material world. But they forgot the very important point, the most important point, that who Krishna actually is. Krishna is Bhagwan himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is completely spiritual. Who takes birth? First of all, we need to understand who takes birth. Someone takes birth who dies. And who dies? Someone who has material conception of life, who has attachment for bodily conception of life, who is attached to this body, one who has the realization that I am this body, who does not have the realization that I am not this body but I am the soul. Only those persons or only those living entities have to take birth after birth after birth, unless and until he attains the absolute truth, or he realizes who he actually is, who is in the proper knowledge, who knows the value of life. And Krishna is Bhagwan himself. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the cause of all causes. So how can he take birth? He is unborn. He is completely spiritual. He doesn't have a body like we do have, which contains of blood, flesh, and many a bone, child and whatnot, which is ultimately going to degrade and we are going to die. This body is going to get finished, which is not the case with Bhagwan, which is not the case with Krishna. His whole existence is only spiritual. So how can he take birth? But still few mundane scholars try to explain that we should take shelter of the unborn within Krishna. There is no within and without of Krishna. As the author explains, there is no difference between Krishna's within and without. There is no difference at all, because Krishna's name, Krishna's qualities, and Krishna himself, Krishna's within, Krishna's without, everything, there's no difference between any of those things. So it is utterly foolish to think that we should take shelter of within and not without and this and that. Whatever you take, whatever is related with Krishna, there is no difference between it, between Krishna and Krishna's body, or Krishna's within, or Krishna's anything. And one who has no sense of this understanding is the greatest fool in trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita. If you cannot understand who Krishna actually is, then you cannot understand the Bhagavad Gita. He is completely a foolish person. So that was text 7 of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. I hope you like this video, and thank you for watching this video if you have come till this point. And please subscribe to my channel if you are liking my videos, and press the notification bell to get all the notifications. So thank you very much. Bye bye.